Hey, what's going on? Nick Unsworth here, and I'm a kick-ass business coach, and I'm on an absolute mission to help you find your purpose in life, to help you love what you do for work every single day, to help you be the rock star that you are meant to be, to make more money than you ever thought was possible, and to have more time freedom so you can actually enjoy the life that you're living. I'm here to help you set your life on fire. Hey, what's going on, guys? Nick Unsworth here, and I am in Oakland, California, and so we're about to bust in on Bill Baren, who is one of the top business coaches in the industry. So he's been doing this for a long time. He's got an in-house team out here. He's right in the middle of putting on an event, and so he's going to be bringing all kinds of knowledge, everything from building and scaling a business, how to manage, run a team, build an office, but he's got tons and tons of wisdom. We're very grateful to have him on the summit, enough where, you know, it made sense to fly from San Diego all the way up here to Oakland to interview this guy. So you're gonna love this episode. Stay focused, grab a pen and paper because you're gonna need it, and follow me. Let's roll. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey.
What's going on? What's happening, my brother?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Definitely.
So shall we take a look?
Let's do a little tour. Yeah, show us the
Yeah.
digs.
So this is where the magic happens.
Okay.
Here's my standing desk. I love doing this because it gives me that energy of just.
Is there a treadmill under there too?
There's no treadmill, but there is the balancing ball that I haven't yet blown up.
Are you talking about standing on that thing at the desk?
No, it's when it's down.
Oh, I was gonna say, like
there's
standing
at least
on
a little bit of traction when you're balancing.
Oh, okay.
So that you're always exercising your core the
okay.
entire day. Yeah.
That's cool. I've been hearing a ton about the standing desk. I gotta get one of these things.
Yeah, well, this is, I saw it at the Sky Mall magazine. And,
okay.
What I love about this thing is that it can do both. So that, you know, like in the afternoon sometimes at 5 o'clock, I'm like, oh, I can't stand anymore. So I just like put it down.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
I'm thinking this would fit perfectly on my desk. I'm gonna have to grab one of these things.
Yeah.
The only other rigs I see are like the big, humongous ones. But if this goes on top, that's it right there. And so how do you feel? Does that affect your energy? You know, just by standing and like, keeps you more alert?
Yeah, it keeps me more alert, and it feels like, you know how sometimes you get distracted when you're doing stuff?
Yeah.
When you're like in that ready position, it's hard to be distracted.
Yeah.
And so a lot for my energy, a lot for my productivity.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so speaking of energy, so tell us about the, I guess, you know, how you decorated your office here. So tell us about.
Yeah, and like for me, this little boy, that's like the symbol of me. Mm-hmm. That's me creating a better world. So like mind mapping of like how I want the world to be. And my wife actually helped me create this office. And yeah, because I know for me, environment is a really huge thing. Yeah. Because it's like how you feel from moment to moment creates the reality that you're in. And so I just want to feel good. And so it's like I work there. If I'm writing, I'm in my writing chair. And if I'm resting, you know, I'm just, you know, kicking it right here. So I have like 3 distinct spaces in my office to get things.
And what's the mix? So how often are you, you know, in resting mode, you know, writing or, you know?
So my resting mode is like a half an hour a day. So it's like I have lunch from 12 to 1. Yeah. And that's my only time where I really rest during the day. Okay. Other than like 2 minutes straight.
Like siesta, you know, lights out, or just kind of?
My business partner, Patrick, he's like the king of being able to, you give him 10 minutes, he can nap for 10 minutes. I can't do that.
Yeah, it's hard for me to turn my brain off.
Yeah, exactly. So I rest, I read something pleasurable, you know, that's
cool. And how do you feel that that's impacted your work by having, because I know a lot of people just try and forge through the day and just go all in and just be, you know, just nonstop with work. Yeah. Do you find that kind of rejuvenates you? It keeps your energy fresh?
Yeah, it rejuvenates me. It gives me that natural break in the day. And even though I'm saying like I'm go, 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 I take like 2-minute breaks. Okay. Where it's like I'll stretch, I'll do something. Okay. And I've got my little thing right here where this is like all my exercise stuff. I have my bands, I have my stretching things. And so like as much as possible, I'll take some time. I got my gym stuff Yeah, so I'll just, during the day, I'll just break this out. So I
cool.
can just really do my thing. And I have enough space that I can,
you can jump around if you need to.
Yeah, I like to do frog jumps.
Oh, yeah?
You know frog jumps?
Yeah, where you, yeah.
No, it's kind of like this, where it's like you're standing and then you go like this.
Oh, no, yeah, I was thinking more like burpees, where you get down and jump
burpees.
up.
Yeah. But so I'll do like 20 as fast as I can, then a minute break, and then another 20 and then a minute break. And so in like literally less than 10 minutes, you get more of a workout than like 30 minutes on a treadmill.
That's crazy. Yeah. Efficient, that's cool. I feel like I might pop like a couple buttons off it. Go flying. So cool, man. So I think it's awesome. It's really cool to hear about your setup because, for a lot of people, it's like working from home. I mean, it took me probably 5 years before I finally like mastered it. Because, I had a place where a second bedroom that was tiny, and it just was not a great environment. Versus now it's like, I kind of like this where my place it's in my home, but it's set up nicely where I'm happy to be there. So I think it's so important for everyone to really make sure that the space that they're working in, that they love it.
Yeah, for sure.
So cool, man. So show us what else we got.
Yeah, so this is my office, and here is my business partner's office, and the red means that do not disturb. Because I'm doing some really important stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just trying to like talk through them through the door. Like, I know you're doing something.
No, I want to live.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and then we have this this little place where we've got 4 people in here. We have our office manager. We have our... Who are you?
Is that Mr. Joe Polish over there?
That is.
He's going to love that. Joe Polish is going to love that his face...
You mean the face that only a mother could love? That's for you, Joe.
That's for you, buddy. That's awesome.
And here's Lauren.
Hey-o.
Hi.
It looks like she's in the process of paying some of our partners big commission checks.
Nice.
It's true.
It's true.
It is true, because I see the... Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
she handles all of our partners.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Commission checks are always good.
Always
Appreciated.
good. Exactly. Customer service, where we have a little customer service wands.
Nice.
We need sound effects when you're talking to clients.
Yeah. Just wave the wand, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, and then we have our little, everybody needs to see what's inside the fridge,
you got
right?
it, you got
You
it.
got it.
We're doing the cribs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go.
We have a combination of healthy.
Is there some kombucha over there?
It's Kavita, which is like a coconut probiotic drink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So how many total team members do you have?
So we have 11 full-time people here.
Okay.
And then we have 2 full-time people in the Philippines.
Okay.
And then we have something like 10 to 12 contractors.
Oh wow.
Like coaches or accountant, graphic designers.
Okay.
Programmers.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So what do you think? You want to grab a seat and then we'll dive in and make this
Let's
thing
do
happen?
it.
Let's do it. All right, so welcome back. We're here with Bill Baren. So welcome, man. I'm really excited to have you here. This is going to be a jam-packed
exactly.
jam-packed session here. So there's a couple things, or there's a few different topics I want to kind of just set like the landscape, and then we'll start drilling down. I'd love for you to cover a little bit about your journey and just give us the overview of your business, just so people kind of understand, what it is that you do. And then I want to dive into purpose. I want to talk a little bit about networking because you're a connector. We'll talk about your event that's coming up. And then also just like, your number one marketing tactic and how you're, getting clients and growing. So to kick things off, how the heck did all this come to be? This office and this awesome team. So how did you start in the coaching industry, or what's the story leading up to that?
Yeah. It's so interesting. I never would have thought that I'd be here. And it's like, that's like the normal entrepreneur tale. Like, how did I get
What
here?
happened?
What happened, right? So I know that for me, I graduated from Stanford, not far from here.
Okay.
And I graduated in computer science. And my parents automatically thought, well, he's going to go into that.
Yeah.
But I really loved music. And I thought, if I somehow early on I knew that I needed to follow my passion.
Okay.
I knew that
it was
I
just
needed
kind
to,
of like an innate, like you just kind of knew
yeah,
that, or
yeah, I just couldn't not do it. You know, so like when I was in school, I created, I became like a party promoter, and
Okay.
I just at one point. I was throwing events with 1,000 people would come.
Oh, sweet.
And so I had a lot of success there, and I created a DJ company. At one point, my senior year, my company, we were DJing 5 different parties on campus, and I was like traveling around,
Oh, crazy.
just playing everywhere.
Yeah, so you were playing, or were you DJing?
Yeah, I was DJing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, and so in doing that, I got a little taste of success with that. And so I thought, okay, when I go and I pursue my music thing out in the real world, it's going to be easy. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Music business?
Yeah. And at the same time, my parents were just really on my case.
Did they want you to kind of go the more traditional route, or?
Yeah. I mean, I have a degree in computer science from Stanford.
Yeah.
in the pre-Silicon Valley days.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, but I decided that I wanted the music business thing, and so I
Yeah.
got a job for like $6 an hour, and they can only give me like 10 hours a week. And so you can imagine on $240 a month, there's not much you can do.
Oh yeah.
So I needed to continue to learn how to create something for myself. But I made a pact with my parents, 2 years. Give me 2 years. Can you not nag for 2 years? And that's what happened. They didn't nag for 2 years, and in those 2 years, I was able to create enough success.
Wow.
And then fast forward another 8 years later, and at that point, I had a record label, I had a distribution company, I had a record store, I had all these things where I had 85 employees.
That's crazy.
We were doing, at the peak, we were doing over $10 million a year.
Wow, that's crazy.
For a small independent record
Yeah.
label and distribution company, we were actually making a lot of noise. And we
Yeah.
were doing, I was doing hip hop.
Okay.
And at one point, Spin Magazine had their top 100
Okay.
most influential hip hop records of all time. And my label, we had 5 out of 100.
Wow, that's
And
crazy.
no other major label had any more than 2.
Okay.
And so we got a lot of success early, but I just kept on feeling like by the end, something's not right. This really isn't for me anymore.
So that was just a shift inside, like
Yeah.
maybe your passion shifting, or?
My passion shifting, and I think one of the things that I really loved about being in the music business by the end was actually the mentoring.
Oh, wow.
It was like finding the artists, mentoring the artists. But at that point in my life, I wasn't ready to do that in a much deeper way.
Wow.
So they weren't listening, and we had this became this relationship where they're going to give me, like, I'm paying their advance money.
Yeah.
Here's your record deal, and they're like, now that I got my money, I don't want to hear from you anymore.
Wow.
And that was pretty hurtful to me, and I didn't know how to handle it at the time.
Yeah.
And so when I sold my companies and I decided, okay, I need to figure out what I want to do next, that's when I found coaching.
Okay.
And that's where I remembered, oh, it's the mentoring part that I really loved, and this is kind of close.
Yeah.
Let me try that. And it felt like, have you ever had like this really bad breakup with somebody you truly loved?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
When that's how it felt for me from my music business, where it's like, I broke up with the music business.
Yeah.
I know the music business is not right for me. And in that moment in time, it felt like I am never going to find love again.
That is such a good analogy.
Yeah.
How long did you like marinate in the when you finally knew that the music business wasn't going to really fulfill you, make you happy? How long did you hesitate or wait until you made that jump to coaching? Because I feel like that right there lies so much, because there's so many people, whether it's having the job that they don't like, having a business that doesn't make them happy anymore, it's like that limbo is the moment at which you either continue to just settle, or you step outside that and just go for it. And that's the sweet spot, is where I think a life on fire is born, is that courage to say, F it, I'm just gonna walk away from that that breakup or have the courage to just not settle and go for the next thing.
Yeah.
So were you there in that spot for a while?
Yeah,
or did you
I was
just kind
there.
of,
No, I was going to say I wish I would have gone through it faster, but I'm not 100% sure that I wish I would have gone thoo faster.
Yeah.
It took me about 2 years, and the difficult part is that I didn't know what I wanted to do next either.
Okay. Yeah.
But I knew this wasn't it anymore. And
so you made the jump anyway.
I made the jump anyway.
And that is so key, is because you, even though you didn't know what the other side was, it's like knowing that what you're doing isn't enough, having the courage to step into that fear. And I'm assuming what we're going to hear next is how it came together. You know, the how showed up. You know what I mean? Like, that's the faith that it's almost like if someone wants to live a life on fire, they have to just say, you know what I'm doing isn't working. It's not making me happy, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but it comes together.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean,
so
if you could just
for you?
If you could just imagine my conversations with my friends.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, let me get this straight. You're working like 15, 20 hours a week. You're making 6 figures or more. You're working in a pretty exciting industry.
Yeah.
You're taking 3 months of vacations every year. What are you complaining about? Like
what are they're shaking you? Like, what is wrong with you? I would kill for that lifestyle.
Exactly. Like everybody was saying that, but inside I felt like I was dying. And so when I decided, okay, that's it. Finally sold off my companies. Everything was cool. And month 3 into this sort of exploration, the checks for the sale of my company stopped coming.
Ooh, after month 3? Was it? And it was an earnout that was longer than that, I take it?
Yeah. It was a 5-year payout plan.
Wow. And they stopped after month 3?
Month 3. Month 4, I'm like, maybe I should go to the offices and see what's going on. Shuttered. And so all of my plans of like, this is going to be like, and I'm going to give myself a lot of time to explore. All of a sudden, okay, all right, there's a fire in my belly. I've got to figure it out. And one of the things that I kept on doing, I was like on Craigslist all the time trying to find like, what are some things I can do that are fun?
Yeah.
And I saw an ad where trading life coaching. And I thought, oh, I don't know how to do that, but that sounds interesting. Why don't I do that?
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with this guy who was a law school graduate, and he said, okay, let's do this. And after one session with me, he said, I don't think I can help you in whatever other ways, like legally, but I don't want to coach you. I want you to coach me. And I thought,
so you went to him, and he said, I don't want to coach you. You coach me?
Well, we were going to be trading.
You're going to swap it.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And he was like, you're too good.
Yeah.
Like, I've been to other coaches before, but like, this is something special.
Yeah.
And after that, it just, I knew, like, I was so sold.
Yeah.
But it took me 4 years of going through all of my savings, remortgaging my house, borrowing money from my parents, and I still couldn't get a client for the life of me.
Wow.
But I also knew that I didn't want to have a plan B. I was like...
You burned, what is it they call it? Burn the boats? Get to the island and you burned all the boats?
The boats were gone. I even erased all images of the boats from my mind. And so it was excruciating, but I knew, kind of like in my relationship with my wife, it's like there are no back doors.
Yeah.
I mean, literally and figuratively. I don't know why. I had to go there.
We needed like a drum set, like ding.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm committed to my relationship with her, and I know that when that happens in a commitment to somebody or something, magic happens.
Yeah.
And but I didn't know how long it was going to take.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's wow. It's an awesome story. Thank you for sharing that. And I mean, there's so many different things that come out. I think the commitment piece, burning the boats and going for it. So basically, you knew that what you weren't doing wasn't making you happy, and said screw it, and had the courage to jump out and to just find. In once you take that step, it just happened. You end up finding the how shows up. And there's a lot of times I'll work with someone like, well, know what else I'm going to do? And it's like, man, if you just walk away from whatever it is, it will happen. You'll have that pressure, it'll happen. So you made it happen, and then, you know, catch us up on just, you went from the struggle of starting the business, but you had so much passion for it. I think it'd be great to tell us, just everyone, about what is business coaching for those that don't know, and then how did you ramp up and build a business like this?
I mean, for me, business coaching is basically working with people who have business goals or business desires to help them create that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I feel like as a business coach, and it's really interesting because I'm sort of, I don't really have one-on-one clients anymore.
Yeah.
I do lots of big trainings and I lead big events. But I have a lot of business coaches on my team, and our job is to be our clients' partners, to help them create whatever it is that they want financially, but also a business that reflects who they are, and so that they're creating something that's a perfect representation of who they are internally, and so that their business is that mirror for that.
Which I think is incredible. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps hearing that, because I just think about with Life on Fire, what Suzanne did for me is my business became my story, you know, and how I wasn't living a life on fire. I didn't come from an environment where people around me were, I mean, they were workaholics and this and that. And I ended up, that became my story, that became the essence of the business, and now I would never want to sell it. I mean, this is my baby, and this is what's fun every day. So it's a really cool mission to take and have someone embody that and pull that out of them. And so you guys do that through transformational events, and you've got a staff of coaches. What are a couple things that you would say that you guys do to help them get there?
Yeah, and the thing that really made a big difference for me, for somebody who didn't like marketing, for somebody who had like literally an allergy to selling, and just an allergy to even talk about myself. I mean, it was so bad that I would go, when I was in the music business, people asked me what I did. It was like, open up and like just talk about it. But when it became me rather than my artists, and I would go to parties and people would say, hey, what do you do? I would make up stories.
What's one of the coolest stories you made up?
Oh,
like George Costanza, I'm an architect? Vandalay Industries or something?
No, like the weirdest thing would be I'm an IRS agent. And you got to be nice to me, or you know, I'm going to audit you.
Yeah.
And so there were always stories that where like I didn't want to lie, so I made him nonsensical enough, so that people knew I was joking.
Yeah.
But it was really a deflection because I just didn't even want to talk about what it is that I did.
Right.
That's how scary it was for me.
And I think is it because just like being a humble guy, like is it to not like, because there's something interesting as a business coach. It's kind of like, well, I'm a business coach, and it's like, oh, there's almost like it could be of a higher positioning than someone else. Is that a part of that, or just didn't like selling aspect, or made you uncomfortable?
I was just scared.
Yeah. I
was scared of rejection.
Okay.
I was scared of not being able to say the right things.
Yeah.
And so when it came to getting clients, I just, if I can't have a conversation with somebody about it, it becomes really difficult.
And what broke that through? I mean, did you come up with the different marketing methods, or how did you end up shaking that through?
Yeah, so what wound up happening is that I realized that selling is a skill. And I'm someone who's been able to pick up lots of other skills before. Why is sales going to be any different?
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, why don't I, get a couple of sales training programs, get a whole bunch of books, start practicing, and after 6 months of like really giving it my all, you're probably thinking things started to shift, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't. In fact, things got even worse. It almost kind of like with, I don't know, you were hearing that story about Tiger Woods and his swing. Like if he wanted to get better, he had to change his swing, and temporarily things got worse.
Yeah.
That's how it was for me. Like I couldn't even, like, it was before I got a small conversion percentage. Now it was non-existent.
Yeah.
And then the next realization was really what did it for me. And I thought, you know, if I don't like selling and I'm learning how to sell, the odds that I will create success are pretty non-existent.
That's interesting, yeah.
And so that's when I began to develop a system that I could use where it won't feel like selling to me and it won't feel like selling to the person that I'm speaking to.
That's incredible, yeah.
And so over the next 3 months of now having lots of models of what didn't work,
yeah. I
was able to create something that did work. And from then on out, 8 out of 10 people that I spoke to wound up hiring me. And so this actually happened. So it took me 3 months to develop the system.
Yeah.
And in the 6 months after that, I went from like $25,000 a year, after 4 years, that's pretty poor, right?
Yeah.
To over 6 figures, full, hired another coach, she became full, hired another coach, hired another coach.
That's crazy.
And so that was all 6 months. And so when I was able to develop this system, and then when I was training the coaches, and then the clients that were coming to me, I was training them on it, they were like, this is gold. So it was then everybody started saying, you might want to do something with this. But I didn't know anything about the online world. I didn't know anything about programs. I didn't know anything about any of those things because I just was working with one-on-one.
Yeah.
And so then it took me a year to figure out how to launch the group stuff. And since then, this program that came out of that Master of Enrollment, I think we've had 3,500 graduates of that program already.
So I think we got to drill down on that because I mean, what a crazy story. What I think is so inspirational about it is that I keep bringing it up, but like leaving, you know, what you were doing before and going towards what you felt called to do, and your purpose is just huge because that you had the guts to do it. But then the 4 years of pain, because it seems like, from my experience, it seems like people are so quick to throw in the towel, and it's almost like there's so much hype in the industry or in any industry that I'm not having that immediate success, or I'm not seeing success fast enough, and people kind of go back. They change direction so fast.
Yeah.
And it does take time, and you know, for you, I mean, 4 years until you finally mastered, you know, that conversation. And so what are some of the details? What are some tips about that enrollment conversation? Whether you're a coach or whether you're a realtor, like any takeaways that you can share on that.
Yeah, I think so much of it is understanding that most of the time when we're uncomfortable, we want to talk. Most of the time when we're insecure, we want to sell.
Yeah.
Most of the time when we feel like we're not enough, we want to change the table so that it feels like we're proving ourselves that we are. And so the first aspect of all of this is more of a mindset, which is listen, take in so much more than sell. In my whole Master Enrollment system, basically what we teach is that 85% of the conversation is you listening. And only 15% of you talking.
That's cool.
So that's a big difference. Then the other thing is the energetics of you have to set up the conversation. You've got to treat it like I am the leader. And I'm going to set up the conversation. I'm going to let you know what the agenda is. I'm going to tell you that I've done this before and I know exactly what needs to happen in order for us to get the most out of this experience. So that somebody else can surrender to having a conversation versus what most of the time happens is like, why don't I interview you to see if you're worthy of my money?
Right. Yeah.
That never works. That's your potential client leading the conversation. And that's set up for failure, right?
Yeah.
So the next part of the conversation is really about what is it the person really wants? And what you want in that part of the conversation is so that when they describe it fully, they are so on fire with it that when you ask them, how important is this for you in your life right now? They say 10. Because what winds up happening is that the sales conversation is not a sales conversation. It's actually a commitment conversation.
Wow, okay.
So when somebody becomes fully committed to what they want, and they're fully committed to no longer being in a place that they don't want, they're committed to the journey between these two places.
Yeah.
And they get to make the choice. Do they want to make that journey between these two places with you or alone?
Yeah. That's really, really powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, and so when you ask those questions of what do you really want, you know, I think about, pops up Michael Burnoff, you know, he does personal development, he asks people, what do you want? And people seem to be all over the place. Are there common threads that you hear from people as to what they want, or is it kind of across the board?
It's across the board. I mean, the bottom line is that you want to ask him the questions of what do you want in the area of expertise that you have.
Yeah.
Right. And, but the one common thread is that people suck at knowing what they want.
Yeah.
And people have a difficult time staying in the place of this pure possibility.
Yeah.
They always want to go to what's wrong. They always want to go to what's happening now. They always want to go to what have they tried in the past that failed.
Yeah.
They have a really difficult time staying in that place of possibility. So the person that can keep them contained and feeling that pure place of possibility is the person they're going to hire. And so the better that somebody gets at that.
Right.
And then the better that somebody gets at like truly hearing and feeling like the painful place that they're in now, like the more that could be elicited, the bigger the gap. And that's what my system actually teaches, is like, how can you tangibly create the gap to be something that they feel? Because if they can feel the difference between where they are now and where they want to go, the odds of them wanting to make that journey is so much higher.
Yeah.
And they need to feel it. It can't just be an intellectual understanding. And that's really, really huge.
Yeah.
And then from that, how can you describe this journey with you so that it is so much more enticing than for them to be doing it alone?
Yeah.
And then from there, what can you do to actually elicit every possible objection that they may have in hiring you? Not skate over it, not hope, oh my God, maybe they'll hire me, but actually like, okay, what's getting in your way of us starting today? Nothing? Are you sure? What if I told you the price point of this offer that I've described is $10,000? What's getting in your way of us working together now?
Yeah. So basically at that point, you're just trying to pull out, you know, because people are always like, oh, like they kind of give the blow off, which is, you know, I need to think about it, or I need to talk to my spouse, but really you're just essentially communicating, right? And you're just pulling all that stuff out.
Everything.
What are some of the most common objections that you hear that you pull out?
Real or fake?
I guess both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So most common things that people say, I can't afford it, don't have enough money.
Yeah.
This isn't the right time, or I don't have enough time for this right now. I've got to talk to my husband, wife, business partner, team, board of directors, you name it.
Yeah.
You know, sort of like putting the decision elsewhere, not with you.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening externally that you can witness.
Yeah.
What's actually happening internally is, number one, I don't believe in myself enough. I don't believe that I can get what I want. So why would I pay anybody for something that I don't believe I can get anyway? That's one of the biggest objections that that need to be uncovered. But most people don't uncover those.
Yeah.
Number two, I don't believe that what your offer is is going to be something that helps me. Number 3, I don't believe that you're the one to help me. So those 3 things are the real objections.
Yeah.
Nobody is ever going to tell you those 3 objections.
Yeah.
So the reality is when somebody's actually good at enrolling clients, they're able to get, first of all, they're able to have the kind of conversations that dances with those objections before they even come up. But if they do come up, they're the ones who are able to elicit it, work with it, and develop the kind of trust in 30 minutes, 40 minutes that that person might not have for anyone else in their life.
Wow.
Because it's interesting. I've had so many experience with this, and I was so bad at it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I knew all of the things that people feel when they don't have the success, because I was stewing in it for 4 years. Then now it's incredibly easy for me to see all of those things.
Yeah. That is, it's so powerful. I mean, the enrollment conversation that's the difference between your business being struggling and then massively successful.
Right.
You know, was getting that going. And that was cool. That was a really cool walkthrough of just all the different pieces of how that works. I know it's obviously a very much abridged, you know, summary here. It certainly wasn't the course, but that's awesome, man. I really appreciate that, and I'm curious just to have you break down, you know, what are some of the things that makes for an excellent coach, and how that delivery happens. Because what I love is that, you know, for you and I as coaches, I feel like one of the outcomes I think would be really cool with this is for someone that's watching this to be inspired to get a coach, you know, and to pursue that. Because, I mean, for me, my life totally changed when I finally got a coach, and I wish I had done that. That's the one, I have no regrets, but man, if I had gotten a coach way earlier, things would have happened way faster, less pain. So I'm curious, just like, you know, to paint a picture of some of the things that you and your team does, you know, to help them. You know, what are like some of those systems or processes or things that you guys do to change someone's life or business?
Yeah, I think the most important thing, and I'm going to say that coaching skills, I believe that every single person on the planet should have them.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that, you know, everybody should have a coach, but I also believe that everybody on some level should also be a coach. Because a lot of those skills are perfect for parenting, are perfect in relationships. Yeah. Not sort of like what people think coaching is, which is I'm going to give you advice. Right? Nobody wants that. Ask my wife. She doesn't want it, and I don't want it from her. Right? But I think the most important thing is going to be more of a mindset thing. In order for us to create success in our business, we need to not to give up. In order for us to create success with our clients, we need to not give up on them. So when they tell you, I can't afford it, don't give up on them.
And this is halfway through? Or
I'm talking about the moment that somebody enters your world.
Yeah.
That's it. You're in relationship with them. So what is it that needs to happen that creates the intimacy so that they feel they're with you?
Yeah.
I'm talking before, like when they sign up for your list.
Yeah.
Then when they schedule a conversation with you or anything like that, what needs to happen there where you're like feeling into what are those things where they give up on themselves and how do I stand there not to give up? And it's really interesting because one of the things that I was talking to, we're constantly talking to people in our programs and are asking like, what's that thing that's not tangible, but you feel like you're getting? And bar none, what everybody always says is that I feel everyone on your team is ferocious in their desire to help us create what we want. More ferocious than we are.
Wow.
And so now we get to model that ferociousness in ourselves and now with our clients. And so it's really important. And you could just tell, you know how when somebody says something to you that triggers you,
Yeah.
it's like all of a sudden you can't be present with that person.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it takes to be an amazing coach, and that's what it takes to be an amazing anything. When you can get out of your own way enough that when something ought to trigger you, you're like, it's not about me, it's about the person I'm meant to serve.
Yeah.
It's about the difference I want to make in that person's life. I don't matter, I don't exist in this moment. I'm here as a doorway for that other person, and that's it. When you can truly get out of your way in that way,
Yeah.
incredible things happen.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome. It's deep. And so we got mindset in there, and kind of in being almost like being that influential leader, or by being ferocious in believing in them. Really,
Yeah.
is a lot about it. Is by believing in them, it's helping them have the courage to believe in themselves,
Right.
to step through the challenges. And then where do you focus time with them? Is it let's just say if you're working on mindset. Is it online marketing, or what kind of marketing skills are you guys given? Or
Yeah, so we've got lots of different programs.
Yeah.
And so I'll give you an example. Our most popular program is Master of Enrollment.
okay.
And that's mostly online, and then we have some Q&A with me, we have some practice sessions,
Yeah.
we have lots of things like that. We have a community where they practice with each other. But in our Big Shift coaching program,
Yeah.
which is a year-long experience with us, that's where people truly get to have everything that they need in order to create a business.
Wow. Okay.
And so we created the Marketing Bible, which is, I can't remember how many are even there. I think 27 different ways of getting leads in your business. And the job for people is to go into what we call the experimentation phase. How can you take 5 or 6, not 27,
Yeah.
but 5 or 6 that feel good to you, and experiment with them?
Yeah.
And out of those 5 or 6, as you're going from the experimentation phase into the consistency phase, how can you take those 5 or 6 different ways of getting leads
Yeah.
and concentrate on those 2 to master? And then when you master the consistency, then you go into the scale phase. Like, how do I scale this?
Yeah.
And then after you go from the scale phase, then you go into the legacy and leverage phase. And so what we've developed is these systems of the various phases that business owners go through. And then we know exactly what it takes from a marketing, from a sales, but also the mindset and business infrastructure of how to get from one phase to the next. Because what winds up happening so often in the online world is that this thing is being marketed. Well, but this thing only works of going from 3rd to 4th phase in a big way.
Yeah.
So people that are beginning are buying things that
They're not ready for.
they're not ready for.
Yeah.
Or the other way around. People that are more advanced are buying things that are really geared for a different phase.
Yeah. That's a really good way to put it, because there's so many people that are trying to do too many things
Yeah.
at the same time, and different types of things, and it really is an absolute jumbled mess of confusion.
Yeah.
That's cool to walk them through the process of that.
I have to tell you that
yeah.
when people feel and understand the process fully, what winds up happening for them, it's kind of like this.
Whew.
Finally,
Yeah.
I know why this didn't work. Finally, I
Yeah.
have permission to do less. Finally, I can go, okay, this is for a different phase.
Yeah.
And, we can master much better when we're mastering fewer things.
Oh yeah, totally. And so what do you find, so by bringing people through mindset through those phases, what kind of results? I think I'd love for people to kind of get an idea of just what's possible with coaching. What type of results?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. One of the things that I was telling you off camera that we have this Conscious Business Network, and one of the things that we're actually committed to is creating actual performance data. Like, it's one thing to go, here is my marketing and how great it is, and here's the results that people get, here are all the benefits, awesome, right?
Yeah.
But like, what are the actual results that are people getting? So we're actually creating the system of what are the best ways of tracking people's income before and after.
Yeah.
And so we're in our first year of actually truly measuring real data, not like anecdotal. This one person did this, that's great. And we have amazing, we have people that come in charging like $75 a session and, 3 years later, $1 million business.
Yeah.
But I'd be lying to you if I said that that's the norm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The reality is that creating a business is like a remodel. It takes twice as long and is going to cost you twice as much. And, a contractor will come to you and say, here's a quote, it's $50,000 and it's going to take me 3 months. Well, chances are it's going to be $100,000, it's going to take you 6 months.
Yeah.
Same thing with a business. Like, if anybody tells you it's going to take you a year and you're going to generate 100,000, it's going to take you 2 years and you're going to generate 50. Right? Yeah. And that's just the reality of it. But that should not deter you from trying to do the thing you ought to be doing in your life.
Yeah.
Like, most people are walking around like freaking zombies in the world.
Yeah.
They don't like what they do. They're beholden to some other master other than themselves. Like, what else is there?
Right.
Like, you created a business because you wanted to make something. You wanted to create something. You wanted to make a difference in a certain way.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Like, quit because it's just going to take a little longer?
Because it's hard.
Because it's hard?
That's...
I used to have like a set of like the smallest violins in the world. Yeah, everything is freaking hard.
Yeah.
Everything that you, like, I'm 49 years old. And I'm going to be 50 on May 1st in 2015. And I'm determined to be in the best shape of my life.
Dude, awesome,
by
man.
that point.
Damn.
And do you think I wanted to do that exercise this morning?
Yeah.
Like, once I got in it, I loved it.
Yeah.
But like, rolling out of bed, like, did I want to like pull back the covers and go back to sleep? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But did I do that? No. Everything we want goes through the island of doing things we don't want. Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a... I can't wait for... Got some clients that need to see this. this piece. But I think this brings up a great segue to purpose. And I feel like, and I experience it much like you have, and I think all entrepreneurs do, to your point, is we go through so much pain and challenge in the journey, but when we're so committed to what we're doing and when we're actually living our purpose, we're willing to fight through that. So how the heck does someone that maybe doesn't know, like how you knew that you weren't doing the right thing and moved into coaching, how does someone figure out what that purpose or passion, what they're called to do?
Yeah.
How do they identify that or figure that out so that they can go through the tough times to get to the end?
Yeah.
It's only one of the biggest questions of humanity. So,
Yeah. You're asking for the meaning of life?
Right.
And the answer is 42.
What's 42?
That's the meaning of life.
That's it? Number 42.
It's from a book.
Is it?
Dirk Gently's something.
The meaning of life.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's this little sci-fi book. And like the big joke in the book is that the meaning of life is 42.
Simple as that.
As simple as that.
Well, there we have it, guys. We don't even need to finish the dang summit.
There you go.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's the subtle whispers of desire. We all know in a moment. Like, I'm not talking about like, oh, I don't want to get up and do exercise, or oh, I don't want to make the phone call to this person because I'm afraid of what they're going to say, or oh, I don't want to finish my book because I have a lot of resistance, right? I'm not talking about those.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when we have this little thing, there's a story in me that I want to tell. Like, you heard somebody say something and you're like, they're a storyteller. Man, wouldn't it be cool to do that? It's a subtle desire. It's this little fleeting thought. And we have those all the time.
Yeah.
But we dismiss those as inconsequential, but they're not. They're actually the most important things. Like your little subtle desires that we hear and feel all the time.
Yeah.
That's like the map of the universe. And when you're able to hear those and like go, okay. Like I'll give you an example. I heard my business partner a year ago say, oh dude, my friend Dave, he just came back from racing, from doing car racing. I thought, ooh, wouldn't that be cool to do that? So in 2 weeks, I'm going.
Are you?
Like I'm taking my first, weekend driving.
Like a course?
Yeah.
Like a driving?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
sweet.
Yeah.
What, like, is it like a BMW one or?
Yeah, it's a BMW one.
Oh, sick.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm going with a friend and we're taking our BMWs and
Nice.
and so it's that little thing, or it's like, I want to do improv. I heard that like 15 years ago and I did it. And so the more that we listen to those things, like everything opens up when we do that.
Yeah. And so would you say, I mean, by listening to those things, and you're acting on them, like as you're going, and so like I think about acting on those, it's interesting to hear you speak about it as like those thoughts or those whispers or voices. And I feel like that's part of what I think about as like a life on fire, is enjoying the journey along the way. So even though you're busting your butt in the business, it's like you're still taking the time to do the improv class or drive the cars, because if you just wait to the end, the end is never what it seems to be anyway. Like the selling of the business.
The end is like, it's hospice care. Like, what am I going to do there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's, I'm pulling out of that, just enjoying your life as you're living it, taking that driving class, doing the cool things. And so would you say, so the action for them would, for you would be to really be aware, to listen to those thoughts and then to act on them, to see what and then take action to try enough stuff until you figure it out? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I'll give you an example. I went to this. David White is this poet, but this guy is like a modern day philosopher. I love that guy. And so I went to a day-long workshop.
Okay.
Where he was doing poetry and like explaining things, all kinds of things. And I remember distinctly, because this was like 12 years ago.
Okay.
I came out of that, and I was saying the number one thing for me is to lead a full life. If I can lead a full life, I can inspire others to do anything. It's when I hold back in any part of my life that I'm going to hold back in every part of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like how you do anything is how you do everything.
Exactly.
One of those quotes. So a couple other areas I want to dive into before we wrap things up. So I know you've got a live event coming up. So I'm curious just to hear, that's one of your specialties in building those and driving revenues from live events. So any just tips about how someone could leverage using a live event in their business and what can happen from it?
Yeah. I think live events are, there's nothing that simulates the experience of having a room full of people that have a similar desire and who want similar things.
Yeah.
And I used to have this notion that it's so much easier to create transformation one-on-one. And now I realize that if I can create the kind of experiences where everybody together, can you imagine like bringing everyone's energy together in a single point? That's what a laser is.
Yeah.
That's why it's one of the most powerful lights in the world.
Yeah.
It's not because of anything other than everything comes into a single point focus. Exactly. And so that's what our events are about. And so it's like there's a single point benefit, and then there's a single point theme, and then everything drives together, and then we create experiences internal, but also external, so that they get the business know-how, but also the internal transformations as well.
Nice.
And so that's why all of our events have names like Big Shift Experience or the Conscious Business Playground.
Yeah.
Because they have a very different sort of energy to them. And the reality is what I love is the same thing that I pride our events to be.
Yeah.
Which is like this perfect blend of like very developed systems that's like left-brained with this other creative left brain transformation, heart opening. And so when you get the marriage of the mind and the heart together, that's like the pathway to the spirit.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. And you've got an event that's coming up, and you brought up the conscious business a couple times. And so tell us what that means and how someone else could turn their business into a conscious business.
There's so many definitions. In fact, we're in the process of like truly defining what it is, because it's like one of the hardest things to define. Like we've got a whole committee on that trying to figure it out. But I'll just tell you.
Meetings for meetings. Meetings on meetings.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll just tell you, for me, conscious business is when you are aware and are committed to the awareness of the impact on people, the industry, the planet, of every decision that you're making.
Wow. Okay.
And a lot of times we make a decision to market in a particular way. Well, what impact does that have on your revenue? Well, it might be high, good impact. But what impact does it have on the trust of your tribe of what you do? Well, maybe that lowers it. What impact does it have on the whole industry, and how is everybody else impacted by it?
Yeah.
Because there's lots of things that work to create revenue, but just because they work doesn't mean that we ought to use them.
Right. It's almost like, even though it might make some money, but how does that impact, the brand and all these other things to consider? So, so it sounds like it's an awareness, over your business and what you're doing. And I'm also kind of pulling out that by thinking of your business that way, it's making it more intentional what you're doing for people, the footprint that you're leaving, the legacy that you're building. It sounds really cool.
Exactly. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about this off camera. I often make decisions that sacrifice profit to maximize impact. Because I care more about the legacy that I'm leaving with the people that I'm meant to impact than I care about the money in my pocket. And I have nothing against money. I'm good at making money. I've made money my whole life except that 4-year stretch. And I think you can do a great deal with the money that you make.
Yeah.
But I also believe that if I have the choice between, okay, here's something that can make me an extra 100,000.
Yeah.
But here's something where I can really double the impact, I will always choose to double the impact.
I think that's an awesome rule of thumb to live by, and it's almost like that's like the long ball. That's the long game. You know, I mean, going for the short-term profits, it never. I mean, I think of like business relationships where it's cutthroat. It's like it's just so short-sighted. Yeah. But well, cool. What I'd love to do from here is talk about how folks can get in touch with you, and and if you have any freebies, or if there's things, they've got so much stuff that you do. We'd be honored if there's something that you could share with us and share with you guys. I mean, what do you think? Dude rocks, right? So there's some things that you can share with us. We'd love to know how to get in touch with you and what that is.
Awesome. So when I talked earlier about this this process and a system of how to take a conversation from the setup to what I call the establishing the gap between where they are now, where they want to go, what to do in overcoming the objections, the entire process, we created this map. We called it the yes map. And so how can you go from somebody not knowing who you are to a yes in less than an hour? And we've developed this, it's actually really pretty. It's one of the prettiest things that we've done. It's this visual representation, a blueprint of the entire process that you can digest and get immediately. And by immediately, I mean in 1 minute. That's all it takes for you. So, and you can get that at billbaren.com/fire. That's BILLBAREN.com/FIRE, all lower cap. And it's going to rock your world.
That's huge, man. Well, hey, I just want to really say thank you for that and sharing that and hooking us up with that. So guys, you heard it from Bill. Go to billbaren.com/fire. Grab the gorgeous yes map and all the details, because I know for me, I mean, just getting comfortable around those conversations. I mean, that was the difference between your business being in limbo and crushing it, and we have to sell. Like we all, you know, it's crazy. Like we have to generate revenues every day, and if you're not, your business is going backwards. You know, so take advantage of that offer and get connected with Bill. Follow Bill. Check him out all over the interwebs, because he's up to big things, and I can't wait to attend one of your events. And last thing before we wrap up is this is the time where I'm going to ask you to share something that most people don't know about you. So we've learned a lot, you know, throughout this this interview sesh here, but with just one random factoid, maybe something that most people just don't know. Could be a skill, talent, something weird.
Yeah, let's see.
Could be the peanut from earlier.
Yeah, maybe the peanut from earlier. I have the 5-year rule. You know, you drop a piece of food, and if you catch it on the ground within 5 years, you eat it.
What was hilarious was that, oh, a peanut. And I'm like, I'm like, Coach, okay. There's no limit.
There's no limit to what we can do. But besides that,
it took a lot of coaching for Bill to be able to grab that.
That's true. So I'll go with a peanut theme.
Okay.
So when I wasn't born in this country, most people don't know that. I was born in the Soviet Union in the Ukraine. Okay. And when my parents came and I came here as refugees, we didn't have citizenship of any country, because we had to denounce our citizenship, but we couldn't get any other citizenship for a while.
That's crazy.
And so we had no money, and my parents couldn't get jobs, and it was a really rough time. And so I didn't know English at the time, but I knew that I liked food. And so I would actually ask people to throw peanuts at me, and I was able to catch the peanuts in my mouth.
Get out of here. And
so like that was the way that I can get like peanuts, because peanuts are actually pretty expensive for somebody who has no money. And one time what wound up happening is that, you know, I got a reputation for that. I will catch anything that people throw, and somebody threw a piece of fish. And it hit me in the face, and I got really mad, and I started a food fight in the cafeteria, and I got suspended.
Oh. I'm picturing like an actual fish, like the throwing of the fish in Lake Seattle or whatever. Or
no, it was a nice little piece of fish that you get in the cafeteria, so no, it smelled bad.
Okay, yeah. All right, well, well, that is something that most people wouldn't know about Bill.
I didn't remember that story until you brought up the peanut.
All right, so there you have it. And don't throw fish at Bill.
Oh, unless you want a food fight.
Unless you want a food fight. And cool, so just one last time, just before we wrap up, if you wanted to share the link and what they get real quick.
Yeah, so the link is at billbaren.com. That's B-I-L-L, that's 2 L's, B-A-R-E-N, that's in Nancy.com /fire. And what you get is my gorgeous yes map. They'll break down the entire flow of a conversation that goes from them not knowing who you are, to you being irresistible and them saying yes to you and your services.
Bam.
Bam.
Awesome, man. It's been great. Thanks so much. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Cheers.
I'm here to help you set your life on fire.